Hi, I'm Robin, one of the dietitians.
And I'm Chef Paul Schufelt, and today we're going to be doing a marinated chicken and vegetable skewer with a Mediterranean quinoa salad.
Fantastic. So where are we starting, Paul?
We're going to start by putting the salad together. So I've cooked off the quinoa already. This is a fun one. I'm actually doing a fairly large quantity. This is a nice leftover dish as well too, just to kind of eat on its own. So started with about 3 cups of raw. It turned out to about 5 cups cooked. Just going to take the zest of a lemon and a lime.
And when you cooked your quinoa, was it just in water?
I used a little bit of a light chicken stock. I did about 50% chicken stock, 50% water.
Okay.
I like a little bit of background flavor in there, but I don't want it to taste like I'm eating chicken per se. Okay, so I've got a little bit of the lemon zest, a little bit of the lime zest.
Fresh.
Yeah, this salad's all about pungent flavors, big, bold flavors. So we're going to rely on the lemon zest, the lemon juice, the lime juice, and then we're going to rely on lots of fresh herbs in there as well too.
I'm salivating just smelling that. It's just fantastic.
So right into the bowl. Okay. You want to use a microplane as well too, so you're just getting you're not getting the whites. The whites of the lemon and lime tend to be a little bit tart, a little bit bitter. Just going to quickly loosen this up. Same thing over here. Right into the bowl. Yes, this is all about aromatics with the herbs and the lemon and the lime. Just lots of big flavor, and not relying on lots of oils or things like that to really impart flavor in there. Okay, the lemons obviously have a little more seeds, so you want to make sure you're just catching the seeds. Okay, we're going to take some fresh herbs here. It's sort of personal preference. I like the really sort of bright, vibrant green herbs for this. I'm going to use some mint. I'm going to use some cilantro, even some fresh basil in there. And again, I'm not all that concerned about perfectly chopped or great presentation. I'm more concerned about just getting the flavor in there. So just a quick couple of chops so that it's fairly small.
That's fantastic. I wouldn't have thought to blend all of those different herbs together. Yeah. Usually I stick to one kind, so this is
mint and basil are sort of in the same family, so they work well together in this dish here. And then cilantro just kind of gives it that summer, that fresh, that pop, right? And this is, as I said, you were going to get a lot of color out of this with the whole herbs in there, or lots of herbs. So it might seem excessive, but I'm relying on that to really give me a lot of the flavor in this dish.
Okay.
Just going to take a little bit of onion. Okay, I don't have to worry too much about it being cut perfectly, but I do want to cut it fairly small because I want it to be similar in size to the quinoa. Yeah. And obviously you don't want to take a big pop of raw onion in there.
And you could do, we've got white here, but you could do red onion.
You could do red onion. That'll give it a little extra color in there, as well as I find a red onion's a little bit sweeter. It's not quite as pungent in flavor as a white onion or a Spanish onion would be. Take a couple of strawberry tomatoes that I picked up. Just gonna half them. Same idea. Into the bowl. A little bit of fresh cucumber in there. I've just got a long English cucumber.
And if I didn't have strawberry tomatoes, would I use Roma or?
Romas, anything that you have on hand would be fine. This is sort of fun. I mean, think Mediterranean flavors. You could even I'm not doing it today, but you could put a little bit of olive in there would be nice as well too. Even artichokes wouldn't hurt if you like that. So we'll throw a little bit of pepper in there as well too. Just a little extra color.
And I love the fact that you're using quinoa because it's what we call one of those ancient grains.
Ancient grains, you bet.
And so it's not highly processed. It's got amazing texture. It adds some body to a dish. I really like it.
Cooks very easily too. It's forgiving a little bit. Whether you cook it a minute or too long or a minute or too short, you can get away with that. So it kind of helps. Whereas some other starches tend to go from great to not so good fairly quickly. So we'll get that in there like so. Gonna put a little bit of garlic in there, just a touch of seasoning.
Well, and I know as a dietitian we tend to focus on really telling people to watch the salt content, but you need a bit of salt because it brings out the flavor in food.
You bet it does. Yeah, it's everything in moderation, right? And what better way to finish off a Mediterranean salad than with a little bit of fresh goat cheese feta?
Oh, and feta, I love feta. It's relatively, milk fat content's about 22%, so
Yep.
it's pretty low in fat, and it's got that flavor that you even don't need to use a lot of
All
it
that
because you
much.
get that. And so why did you use goat versus cow feta?
I think it's just a personal preference, and I do find it tends to be a little bit lower in fat generally than the cow feta.
Okay. Great.
There we go. So we'll clean up, and then we're going to put together our skewers.
Excellent.
Okay, so before we actually do our skewers, I want to get a marinade together for the chicken.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a very quick and simple Italian vinaigrette. So I got a little bit of about a tablespoon of Dijon in the bottom of my bowl. Just got some fresh basil, some fresh oregano, and some fresh rosemary. And I'm just going to give that a quick chop. Want some good Italian flavors in there. You can use a little bit of fresh thyme in there if you'd like, or if you had some on hand, that would be nice as well. You can just smell the aromatics coming off this right away.
Yeah.
I would recommend too as well. We're doing this right now, but if you have the chance, this is one of those vinaigrettes that's just going to come together as it sits a little bit. So if you have the chance to do this a day ahead, by all means, do so.
So I can just put it in a glass bowl with my
Glass
meat.
bowl.
And
Yeah, I would let prepare the marinade in advance, and this
Okay.
can actually substitute as an Italian vinaigrette as well too. So they work sort of interchangeably. So make a glass jar of it, put it in the back of the fridge, let it sit for a couple of days. It'll last 3 or 4 weeks easily without any issues. So we're just gonna get some herbs in there like so, and a little bit of chili flakes, about a teaspoon's worth,
Yep.
depending on your tolerance for heat. A tablespoon worth of garlic. Just want a little bit of fresh acidity in there. We're going to do the juice of half a lemon. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of white balsamic vinegar again. Actually, I'll go about a tablespoon and a half. And give this a stir. And to that, I'm going to add about 4 tablespoons of olive oil.
look at that. That looks...
So a simple Italian dressing put together in a matter of a minute or two here. I'm just going to put a touch of pepper and a touch of salt. And as I said, this is something you can make today, or you can make and set aside and use this for various purposes.
Well, and olive oil is a healthy fat. We've got the fresh herbs in there. What a great fast way to make a dressing versus having to buy
You made
something.
it yourself, and you know there's no preservatives
Yeah.
in there, and there's no ingredients you can't pronounce, which is always important for me, or valuable for myself.
Yeah.
We'll get our vegetables ready to go for our skewers. I like to make sure that you want to make sure your vegetables are about the same size as your pieces of chicken, so we'll just kind of be mindful of that as we're chopping. So that's probably about a good size here. Just going to do some zucchini.
And that's probably where I go wrong. When I think I cut my vegetables too small, and then they're cooked before the chicken is.
Yeah, that's something to consider as well
Yeah.
too, right? I mean, it's not just about, they're not just decoration, you want them to sort of cook at the same time. These were fun today. I don't even want to do anything to them. I'm just going to put them right on the skewer like so. So I'm just going to throw a few of those in the bowl.
It is. That's going to make your skewer look just
Same thing
really
with our,
interesting.
Same thing with our tomatoes. Yep. And then we've just got some, instead of white mushrooms, I did creminis. I'm just going to pop the stem out like so. Really easy.
I know lots of times people think kebabs or skewers take a long time to put together, and there is, but this type of prep work that you're doing is really speeding it along.
Really simple, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just take a touch of my marinade. I don't want a lot on here. Excess oil tends to cause flare and fire up on the grill, but I'm just going to put a couple of tablespoons on there. I want to make sure I'm seasoning it well. Vegetables need a little bit of seasoning. A little bit of salt. Just give that a quick stir so I get a little coating on all of my vegetables. Just like so. As I said, I don't want them swimming in oil, but at the same time, I just want to impart a little flavor on there. So we'll set those aside. So I just got some beautiful chicken breast here.
Well, and chicken is great from a nutrition standpoint. It is such a lean source of protein, high quality protein as well. It's lower in fat and lower in cholesterol and calories actually than most other meat proteins.
Yeah, if you tend to like a little more fat, you can always use the thigh as well too. That's an option. But you know, I like to cook with chicken breast when I'm doing skewers. You just always want to be mindful as well too that you want to cook it through, but you don't want to overcook it because dry chicken is no fun.
Yeah.
So I'm just, pardon me, just cutting some cubes here, you know, similar in size to the vegetables that I had done before. You want them large enough that they're going to cook. All right, so we got our chicken skewered up, really easy. As you saw, I use a different cutting board as well too. Chicken does contain a lot of bacteria, so I definitely don't want to impart any of that onto my cutting board. And I'll just make sure I give this a good wash afterwards. Take a little bit, again, of our marinade, a couple of tablespoons. Okay, I'm gonna do about 4 for this guy. I want a little more flavor in this. Now, the vegetables don't need to marinate for very long, but I like to give the chicken itself probably a good 30 minutes to marinate before I skewer it up. I want that flavor to all be imparted into the chicken. And I'm not going to season this now. I'm going to season this when it's time to actually put the skewers together and get them on the grill. Salt tends to draw out moisture and tends to dry things out. Same thing with a lot of acids. So I don't want to over marinate things for too long. It's going to dry our proteins out.
Fantastic. And one of the things about barbecuing that we want to be aware of is that when meat comes in contact with the fire or the flame, or if there's fat dripping off, then you get that flare up that occurs.
You bet.
And that actually causes carcinogens or things that can promote cancer. So with this, the marinade, actually, some of the research has shown that if you can marinate for 30 minutes, you can drop that cancer causing reaction down by up to even 90%.
I like to just gently oil the skewer a little bit if I'm using a metal skewer. If I am using a wooden skewer, I want to soak them in water beforehand to prevent them from burning on the grill. And then it's really freedom. Have some fun with it. Piece of chicken, piece of mushroom. I like to finish with my protein, start with my protein and finish. It helps to kind of keep the vegetables in place. The vegetables tend, once they start to cook, they are easy to slide off. Okay, piece of chicken.
One of the things that I love about the skewer option is that you actually can decrease the amount of protein that you're eating. So instead of having a chicken breast or 2 chicken breasts, I can actually decrease it, partner it up with some veggies, and it helps with portion control.
Well, you're actually seeing that you've got a good 50-50 ratio of vegetables to meat, which is very important, right? So it's good to show some balance. And I'm just sort of doing a large one here, but this is definitely, you know, can feed more than one person as well too. So we just got a little bit of mushroom, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of zucchini, a little bit of tomato, lots of color. I love how the little tiny pepper kind of fits in there, and it just makes it look attractive as well too. So there we go.
We've got our chicken skewers going, they're grilling beautifully.
Yeah, they're coming along nicely. We want to make sure that when we're cooking, we're watching for any flare-ups, etc. We're moving them when necessary, not too often, but when we feel it's necessary. Typically, you'll get a little bit more heat at the back of the grill, a little bit less towards the front. So, you know, I like to move the one from the back out to the front to make sure we're getting some balanced cooking. And then, you know, when we reach that point where we feel like it's just about as charred as I'd like it on the outside, or as cooked as I'd like it on the outside, but it's not quite there in the center, feel free to move it away from the direct heat. You're still going to get a fair amount of heat working up here. You can even close the lid and create sort of that oven feel, and you're not getting that direct char from the bottom. So it helps you get that balance of cooking you look for, but without you know, blackened chicken and blackened vegetables sort of thing. I was careful to ensure that there wasn't an excessive amount of oil. Oil tends to cause those flare-ups. Didn't use any sugar whatsoever. We relied on acid more to give us our flavor, and we relied on the chili flakes and those beautiful fresh herbs, providing some great flavor in the dish.
Yeah, and those herbs, not only do they provide great flavor, but they also have been shown when they're used in marinades, they decrease some of the formation of those carcinogens. So
you bet.
Add flavor and health to your meal.
Exactly. It's nice to see those two things working together.
Yeah. So how do we know when our chicken is done?
I'm relying on texture. I'm just kind of giving using my tongs just to give the skewers a quick feel. Some of my larger pieces, I can tell they still need another 3 or 4 minutes or so. So I might reach that point where I'm going to rely on using a little bit of indirect heat. So I'm going to move them up and just kind of let them cook off, like I've got this guy up here now. But if you're looking for a temperature, 165 and above is a good temperature. So if you've got a little tiny probe thermometer, find the largest piece of your chicken and just kind of slide it into the center there. Wait for it to settle out and see if you're reaching around 65.
And if I'm going based on feel, does it feel like a bit of resistance?
Yeah, you want to feel a really firm texture. Yeah, like it's, you know, when chicken is raw, you can kind of squeeze and there's the, you know, give a little bit.
Yeah.
You're looking for that really firm finish where the protein is coagulated and cooked up. This one here, I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to get very close. There's still a little bit of moisture in there.
Yeah.
With chicken breast, as long as you've got a good fresh product and it's a good quality product, I certainly don't want to say medium or medium well, but you want to take it just to the point of 165 or well done, and that's it. Let's get it off the grill. Let's stop. And you know, the days of having to cook chicken until they're falling apart dry are gone, and we just need to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. We've got our Mediterranean quinoa salad. Just gonna lay our skewers on there. We've got a great dish put together for our family. So there we are, a delicious grilled chicken skewer, the Mediterranean quinoa salad done in next to no time, and on the barbecue.
And we've got an amazing balance of nutrition as well as with taste.
Great flavor.
With great flavor. And you'll notice that a good chunk of our plate here, that we've got lots of vegetables on this plate.
You bet, a good balance.
Yeah, absolutely.